God's chosen ones. God is funding your life now. Stop worrying. Listen closely with your heart wide open, because what you are about to receive carries the warmth of heaven and the power to calm every storm that has been rising inside your thoughts. And if you allow these words to settle deeply into your spirit, you will begin to feel a shift that changes everything about how you see your future. God is funding your life now, which means He is already arranging provision, opening doors, aligning favor, and preparing resources that you cannot yet see with your natural eyes, but that are moving steadily toward you. This is not a distant promise drifting somewhere in the clouds, but a present reality unfolding quietly and faithfully in ways that will soon become visible and undeniable. Type Amen if you believe. You have carried silent worries about bills, responsibilities, family needs, and personal dreams that seem too heavy for your shoulders. Yet the Lord has been watching every anxious thought and every restless night with compassion that never once faded. When God says He is funding your life, He is declaring that He is your source beyond salaries, beyond human approval, beyond fragile opportunities that come and go without warning. He is reminding you that heaven's supply does not shrink during difficult seasons, and divine provision does not depend on the world's unstable systems. Please take a moment to like this video as a simple act of faith, showing that you receive this truth and welcome what God is releasing into your life right now. There is a gentle but powerful reason you must stop worrying, because worry drains the joy that God is restoring and clouds the vision that He is clearing for you step by step. The Lord sees the path ahead far beyond the bend where your sight ends, and He has already placed what you need at each point along that journey, even though you cannot yet touch it. Every provision has been assigned with purpose, and every blessing has been measured with care, so that nothing arrives too early or too late. You are not walking into emptiness, but into a prepared future where grace has gone ahead of you like a steady light. God's chosen ones often feel pressure before breakthrough, because expansion requires stretching and growth requires movement beyond familiar comfort. You may have felt stretched thin by responsibilities and expectations, yet that stretching has been shaping you into someone who can steward greater provision with wisdom and humility. The Lord is not funding your life for waste or pride, but for purpose, stability, generosity, and peace that overflows into the lives of others. As His chosen one, you are not abandoned in scarcity, but positioned for sufficiency that carries heaven's fingerprint on it. There have been moments when fear whispered that you would not have enough, that doors would close permanently, or that opportunities had already passed you by, yet those whispers never came from the heart of God. His voice carries reassurance, not panic, and His plans move with steady confidence, not hurried desperation. When He declares that He is funding your life now, He is inviting you to release the tight grip of anxiety and rest your heart in His faithful character. You were never meant to finance your destiny alone, because your destiny was always designed to be sustained by divine provision. Imagine a loving father, carefully arranging every detail for a child he treasures deeply, ensuring that school fees are covered, food is prepared, clothing is provided, and the future is secured with thoughtful planning and unwavering commitment. That is how God looks at you, not with distant indifference, but with attentive care that notices every need before you even speak it aloud. He knows the exact amount required for your next step, and He knows the right moment for that provision to appear in a way that strengthens your faith rather than weakens it. Nothing about your life is overlooked, and nothing about your need is dismissed as insignificant. A newly revealed 7-second brainwave method, backed by neuroscience and once hidden in classified documents, is helping thousands activate their brain's wealth setting. People refer to it as the money magnet sound because of how quickly it appears to attract abundance. Click the link in the description and comments below to awaken the prosperity already within you. Stop measuring your future by your current balance, because heaven's economy does not operate on the same limits that have been discouraging you. God can raise support from unexpected places, create opportunities that did not exist yesterday, and stir favor in hearts you have never met before. His creativity is not restricted by your past mistakes or present circumstances, and his generosity is not reduced by the opinions of those who underestimated you. You are stepping into a season where provision meets calling, and where resources align with purpose in ways that feel almost overwhelming in their beauty. Type 1111 if you trust in God. Trust is the soil where peace begins to grow, and as you trust Him more deeply, you will notice your breathing slow and your thoughts settle into a calmer rhythm. The weight that once pressed heavily on your chest will begin to lift, replaced by a quiet confidence that your Father is already handling what once kept you awake at night. This does not mean challenges will disappear instantly, but it does mean that you will face them with assurance instead of fear, knowing that the outcome rests in hands far stronger than your own. God is not only funding your needs, but shaping your heart so that prosperity never steals your humility or gratitude. You were chosen not merely to survive, but to flourish under divine care that never runs dry. As you continue walking forward with faith, remember that every step is supported by unseen provision and guided by unwavering love. God's provision touches every layer of your life, quietly restoring what stress attempted to erode and rebuilding confidence where doubt tried to settle. You may have thought that funding only meant financial rescue, yet heaven's support system is far richer and more complete than any single form of supply. The Lord is establishing stability beneath your feet, so that even when winds blow around you, your foundation remains firm and unshaken. There were seasons when you felt as though you were walking alone through a dry landscape, counting every resource carefully and wondering how long it would last before it ran out. In those quiet struggles, God was not distant or distracted, but deeply involved in shaping resilience within you that would prepare you for greater overflow. The delays you experienced were never denial, but preparation for a level of blessing that requires maturity and trust. What once felt like restriction was actually protection, guiding you away from paths that would have drained you instead of sustaining you. God funds your life with divine timing that protects you from premature opportunities that appear bright but carry hidden burdens. When certain doors closed, you may have felt rejected or forgotten, yet those closures were acts of mercy steering you toward doors that align with your true calling. The Lord sees the end from the beginning, and He arranges provision in ways that safeguard both your present peace and your future purpose. Nothing that was withheld from you was meant to harm you, because everything removed was making space for something better suited to your growth. There is a sacred exchange happening within your heart right now, where fear is being replaced with trust and tension is giving way to rest. You are learning that security does not come from having every answer, but from knowing the one who holds every answer in steady hands. This understanding shifts your posture from striving to surrender and from anxious planning to confident expectation. When God funds your life, He also teaches you to depend on Him daily, rather than on temporary circumstances that fluctuate without warning. Type 2323 if you agree. Agreement with this truth opens your spirit to receive even more clearly, because faith grows when it is expressed with sincerity and simplicity. The Lord delights in your willingness to align your thoughts with His promises, and that alignment creates space for peace to flow freely into your decisions. As you accept that He is your source, you begin to notice subtle signs of provision appearing around you, like small confirmations that build toward larger breakthroughs. Each sign is a gentle reminder that you are not navigating this journey unsupported or unseen. God's chosen ones often carry dreams that feel larger than their current resources, and that gap between vision and provision can create pressure that weighs heavily on the heart. Yet the same God who placed the dream inside you is fully capable of supplying what that dream requires to become reality. He does not ignite purpose within you only to leave you struggling without support. Instead, He steadily builds the framework around your calling, so that when the time is right, everything necessary is already in position. You may notice new ideas forming in your mind, creative solutions emerging where confusion once lived, and courage rising where hesitation used to dominate your thoughts. These are not random bursts of motivation, but evidence that divine support is activating within you and around you. God funds your life by strengthening your inner world as much as your outer circumstances, ensuring that when resources arrive, your character is ready to steward them wisely. Growth in wisdom is one of the greatest forms of funding because it multiplies every blessing placed in your hands. There will be moments when old worries attempt to resurface, reminding you of past hardships and previous disappointments. In those moments, gently remind yourself that you are not living in that past season anymore, and that God has brought you into a new chapter filled with fresh grace. The same Lord who sustained you through difficulty is now leading you into stability that feels secure and lasting. His faithfulness has not weakened, and His commitment to your well-being remains constant and unwavering. Divine funding also includes restoration of confidence that may have been shaken by setbacks or criticism from others. When people doubted your abilities or minimized your potential, it may have planted seeds of insecurity within you. God is uprooting those seeds and replacing them with assurance rooted in His perspective of you. You are not defined by past limitations, but by the purpose He lovingly crafted within your spirit long before you recognized it yourself. Type 2020 to claim miracles. Claiming miracles is not about demanding sudden spectacle, but about trusting that God's hand is actively working in both visible and invisible ways. Sometimes the miracle is a new opportunity, and sometimes the miracle is the peace that sustains you while waiting for that opportunity to fully unfold. Sometimes the miracle is financial increase, and sometimes it is wisdom that prevents costly mistakes. In every case, the miracle carries God's signature of love and intentional care. You are entering a season where gratitude will become your natural response rather than worry, because you will begin to see evidence of provision appearing more consistently. Bills that once felt overwhelming will find solutions, relationships that felt strained will receive healing, and pathways that seemed blocked will gradually open with clarity. This unfolding will not always be loud or dramatic, but it will be steady and reassuring, like sunrise slowly brightening a once dark horizon. Each new day will carry small reminders that God's support surrounds you on every side. Let your heart settle into this assurance deeply, because the journey ahead is not one of scarcity but of steady supply guided by divine wisdom. The Lord is not hurried or anxious about your future, and His calm confidence invites you to mirror that same trust within yourself. As you walk forward, choose to release old patterns of fear and embrace a mindset shaped by faith and expectation. God is funding your life with intention, generosity, and perfect timing, and the peace that comes from knowing this will guard your heart in ways that transform your entire outlook. A 7. second brainwave practice, once reserved for select circles and concealed in classified files, has now been made public, and many describe it as the 3-0-second miracle. Experts say it awakens a dormant brain center connected to wealth and blessings. Click the link in the comments below before it is taken down from the internet again. When He funds your life, He strengthens your spirit against fear, steadies your emotions during uncertainty, and fills your thoughts with hope that refuses to collapse under pressure. This inner supply is what keeps you stable when circumstances shift, because your peace is no longer tied to numbers, approvals, or temporary outcomes. You may remember nights when you lay awake calculating possibilities, replaying conversations, and trying to solve problems that felt larger than your capacity. In those quiet hours, your mind may have raced with responsibility, and your heart may have felt alone under the weight of expectation. Yet even in those moments, God was closer than your breath, observing every thought and already working on solutions that you could not yet imagine. His silence was never absence, and His delay was never indifference, because He was carefully weaving together answers that would arrive with perfect alignment. There is something sacred about learning to rest while God works behind the scenes, because rest reveals trust in its purest form. When you choose to stop worrying, you are not pretending that challenges do not exist, but acknowledging that your Father's power is greater than any obstacle you face. This choice becomes a quiet act of faith that honors His character and affirms His reliability. Over time, that faith grows stronger than fear, and what once unsettled you loses its authority over your peace. God funds your life in ways that often surprise you, because His methods are creative and beautifully unexpected. Provision may come through a new connection, an idea that increases your income, a sudden favor that opens opportunity, or a wisdom that saves you from unnecessary loss. Sometimes it arrives as endurance during hardship, carrying you safely through until brighter days unfold. In every case, the source remains the same, and that source is a love that never grows tired of caring for you. There were times when you believed you needed to prove yourself worthy of blessing, as though divine support depended on flawless performance or constant productivity. That belief created pressure that drained your joy and left you feeling as though rest was undeserved. Yet God's funding of your life is not a reward for perfection, but an expression of covenant love that remains steady even when you feel imperfect. He provides because He is faithful, not because you have earned every ounce of favor through effort alone. As this truth sinks deeper into your spirit, you may begin to notice a shift in how you approach each day. Instead of waking up with tension about what might go wrong, you start to rise with expectation about what God might do. Instead of bracing for disappointment, you lean into hope with quiet confidence. This subtle transformation is one of the greatest miracles unfolding in your life, because it changes not only your circumstances but your entire outlook. Type yes to affirm. Affirming this truth allows your heart to align fully with heaven's promise, creating space for even greater clarity and courage. Each time you choose faith over fear, you strengthen a foundation that supports long-term peace rather than temporary relief. The Lord delights in your agreement with His plan, because that agreement opens doors within you that anxiety once kept closed. As you affirm His provision, you begin to walk with a steadiness that reflects trust rather than worry. God's chosen ones are often entrusted with assignments that require endurance, compassion, and resilience, which is why divine funding includes emotional strength and spiritual maturity. You are being prepared not only to receive blessings, but to handle them wisely and share them generously. The Lord knows that abundance without character can create imbalance. so he gently shapes your heart while arranging your increase. This process may feel gradual, but it ensures that when overflow arrives, you remain grounded and grateful. There is also restoration happening in areas where past disappointments once left scars. Perhaps opportunities collapsed unexpectedly, relationships shifted painfully, or plans dissolved before they fully formed. Those experiences may have shaken your confidence and made you hesitant to hope again. God is now rebuilding your trust step by step, showing you that previous losses do not dictate future outcomes. His funding includes healing for the wounds created by delay and disappointment, because unhealed pain can distort how you perceive new blessings. As he restores your heart, you will find it easier to receive good things without suspicion or fear of sudden loss. This healing is gentle and patient, unfolding at a pace that respects your journey. Slowly but surely, you begin to believe again that stability is possible and that joy can remain without being stolen. There is a future waiting for you that carries more stability than the seasons you have walked through before. You will look back one day and recognize how every stage of uncertainty was shaping your capacity for gratitude and humility. The very struggles that once made you question your security will become reminders of how faithfully God carried you through. That memory will strengthen your faith even further, anchoring you in confidence during future transitions. Type 1212 if you walk by faith. Walking by faith does not mean ignoring reality, but interpreting reality through the lens of divine promise rather than fear. It means continuing forward even when full visibility is not yet available, trusting that the path is prepared beyond your current sight. Each step taken in faith becomes evidence of growth, reinforcing your belief that God truly is funding your life now. Over time, that walk becomes smoother, because trust replaces hesitation and hope replaces doubt. A rare 7-second morning ritual, previously hidden in classified documents, is re-emerging, and people are already sharing accounts of swift financial advancement. It takes almost no time, yet it triggers a dormant wealth switch in the brain that most people never use. Click the link in the description and comments now to access it before it vanishes. You are not merely surviving from one provision to the next, but being established in a lifestyle of dependence that feels secure and freeing. This dependence is not weakness, but strength rooted in relationship with the one who sees all and provides all. As you embrace this lifestyle, worry begins to lose its hold, and gratitude becomes more natural than anxiety. The peace settling into your heart is not fragile, because it is built on the character of God Himself. Even when unexpected challenges arise, you will notice that your response is different from before. Instead of spiraling into panic, you pause and remember that the same God who provided yesterday is still active today. That remembrance becomes your anchor, steadying you when emotions try to rise beyond control. In that steady place, solutions appear more clearly and decisions are made with calm assurance. You tried to solve everything at once, believing that if you relaxed even slightly, something would collapse without your constant attention. Yet God has been gently teaching you that He never asked you to carry what only He has the strength to hold. When He says He is funding your life now, He is also saying that He is taking responsibility for outcomes that once kept you tense and restless. He is managing details behind closed doors, softening hearts you cannot reach, and arranging timing you cannot control. While you were worrying about how everything would work out, He was already working it out with precision and patience. This realization is not meant to make you passive, but to make you peaceful, because peace allows you to act wisely rather than react fearfully. You may begin to notice that situations which once triggered anxiety no longer feel as overwhelming as before. The same bills may exist, the same tasks may need attention, and the same goals may still be ahead of you, yet something inside you feels steadier and less shaken. That steadiness is the evidence that heaven's support has moved from theory into living reality within your spirit. God's funding is strengthening your inner world so deeply that external pressures no longer control your emotions the way they once did. There is also a quiet confidence rising within you about your future, even if you cannot explain every detail logically. You sense that you will be provided for, that opportunities will come, and that doors will open at the right moment. This confidence is not arrogance, but assurance rooted in relationship with a faithful Father. It grows as you reflect on how many times He has already sustained you through seasons that once seemed impossible to survive. Type 1919 to receive miracles. Receiving miracles begins with recognizing that many miracles are already unfolding around you in subtle and steady ways. A miracle is not always dramatic or loud, but often appears as timely provision, restored energy, renewed clarity, or unexpected favor. When you open your heart to receive, you start to see that God has been answering prayers long before you realized answers were forming. This awareness deepens gratitude and strengthens your ability to trust Him with what is still ahead. There were days when you felt that your efforts were unnoticed and that your hard work produced little visible reward. You may have wondered whether your dedication mattered or whether your sacrifices would ever be honored. God saw every effort, every tear, and every quiet act of faithfulness that others overlooked. His funding includes recognition in the right season, elevation in the right environment, and increase that matches your perseverance. It is important for you to understand that divine provision does not always come in the way you expect, but it always comes in the way you need. Sometimes you prayed for one specific outcome, yet God redirected you towards something that seemed unfamiliar at first. Later you realized that the unfamiliar path held greater peace and more sustainable growth than the original plan you clung to. His wisdom sees angles and consequences beyond your view, protecting you from hidden pitfalls while guiding you towards stable ground. God's chosen ones are often positioned in places where their faith becomes a testimony to others. As you learn to rest instead of worry, people around you will begin to notice the difference in your demeanor. They will see calm where panic once ruled and hope where discouragement once lingered. Without speaking loudly, your life will quietly reflect the reliability of the one who sustains you. Type 666 if you trust Jesus. Trusting Jesus means believing that His care extends into every corner of your life, including areas that feel fragile or uncertain. It means accepting that He walks with you through financial planning, career decisions, family responsibilities, and personal growth. This trust transforms ordinary routines into sacred moments of partnership with Him. As you place confidence in His guidance, your steps become more deliberate and your heart more anchored. There is also a shift happening in how you define success, because divine funding reshapes your priorities. You begin to value peace over pressure, integrity over quick gain, and purpose over applause. This shift protects you from chasing opportunities that would drain your spirit rather than nourish it. God's provision aligns with His will, ensuring that what enters your life adds stability rather than chaos. You may look back at earlier chapters of your journey and realize that even the hardest seasons were sustained by unseen grace. There were times when you had just enough to make it through, just enough strength to keep going, and just enough hope to avoid giving up. That just enough was not coincidence, but careful provision measured perfectly for that stage of your growth. Now you are stepping into a season where provision feels less like survival and more like steady overflow. What if abundance had always been influenced by a hidden brain signal buried in classified records and never fully disclosed to the public? This frequency is now creating new pathways, attracting opportunities, and reshaping lives faster than expected. Thousands are already using it to draw wealth like never before. Click the link in the description and comments now and activate the money-attracting brainwave today. This overflow does not mean excess without purpose, but abundance with intention. You will have enough to meet your needs, enough to bless others, and enough to pursue the calling placed on your heart. The Lord is expanding your capacity gradually, so that gratitude remains at the center of every blessing. He is shaping you into someone who recognizes that every good gift flows from His generous hand. When moments of doubt attempt to return, remind yourself of the journey you have already traveled. Remember the doors that opened unexpectedly, the support that arrived at the right time, and the strength that carried you when you felt weak. Those memories are evidence that you are not abandoned, and that your life is continuously supported by divine attention. They serve as anchors that hold you steady during any temporary storm. As you move forward, allow yourself to imagine a future marked by security, joy, and fulfillment that reflects God's loving plan. Let your imagination be shaped by hope rather than fear, because hope aligns with His heart for you. Each day you wake up is another opportunity to witness His faithfulness in action. The more you focus on that faithfulness, the less space worry has to grow. You are not walking toward uncertainty alone, but toward a prepared future guided by a faithful Savior. God is funding your life now in ways seen and unseen, tangible and spiritual, immediate and long-term. The peace settling into your heart is a sign that you are beginning to believe this truth fully. For a long time, you may have believed that everything depended entirely on your effort, your intelligence, and your ability to control every small detail. That belief pushed you to work harder, think longer, and carry more than you were designed to handle. Yet even while you were striving, God was quietly reminding you that partnership with Him was always the better path. His funding does not remove your responsibility, but it removes the crushing weight of feeling alone in that responsibility. You will begin to see that divine provision is not random or scattered, but ordered with intention and purpose. The opportunities that come will align with your growth, and the resources that appear will match the stage you are currently in. Nothing will feel forced or out of place, because heaven's timing carries harmony that human effort cannot manufacture.